Evening. It being 6 o'clock, I will call the December 2020 Town of Clayton Planning Board meeting to order. Before we do roll call, I just wanted to remind the board to make sure that you speak directly into your microphone this evening. I've noticed, especially with all of us in masks, that it's especially hard to pick up the audio sometimes. I think for Mr. Lipscomb and Bizzle, it's especially hard. You guys are probably going to have to really lean into your microphones, but we will try to do our best. Looks like for roll call, everyone is present except for Mr. Teed. We did get an email that he wouldn't be here this evening. Moving on in the agenda, item number 2, for adjustments, we do have one adjustment needed this evening, and that would be to continue item 4A, 2020-95-CUP hurricane fencing conditional use permit. And we would need to continue that to the January 25th, 2021 Planning Board meeting. So if someone could make a motion, I can entertain that motion now.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to continue.
We have a motion to continue by Board Member Coates. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second from Board Member Powers. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Are there any other adjustments needed? Hearing none, we can move on to item number 3, approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections needed? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve or disapprove the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Board Member Price. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Second was, sorry, who is that?
Second.
Board Member Lipscomb. Is that my speaker? I probably need to move it back, huh? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Our next item this evening is 5A, naming of the Greenway, Skip Browder draft resolution. As you know, at the October 2020 Planning Board meeting, we discussed a proposal to name a portion of the Mountains to Sea Trail after Mr. Skip Browder. We heard some beautiful testimony from community members who knew him well, as well as some planning board members. There were more folks intending to be here this evening to hear this, members of the Johnston County Planning Board. Unfortunately, they had a meeting as well this evening, so several of them will not be able to attend today, but they do plan to be at the town council meeting to hear this item. So after hearing from those folks in the community, we as a board then asked the planning department to bring us a resolution about the trail naming so that we could recommend it to town council. So today we have that resolution before us, and I'm going to read it and then ask the board for a formal recommendation on that. Resolution, naming of portion of Mountains to Sea Trail in honor and remembrance of James Skip Browder. Whereas James Skip Browder was a vital and important part of the town of Clayton, and whereas Skip first began his employment with the town of Clayton in 1993, he served not only as the town's planning director, but also as the assistant town manager and twice as the acting town manager. He worked for the town from 1993 through 2000, returned to the town in 2003, and retired in 2010. And whereas Skip graciously volunteered his time, knowledge, and expertise and served on the Johnston County Planning Board from January 2001 until February 2016. And whereas Skip worked hard for Clayton because he loved Clayton, he left behind a legacy of being known as the planner who would find a way to help with development. And rather than saying, no, you can't do that, he would say, here's what you can do. And whereas due to his dedication and finding ways to work with folks, he paved the way for growth we now see in Clayton. And whereas following his retirement, he continued to champion greenways throughout Clayton, especially the Mountains to Sea Trail. He served on county and state committees to make that a reality. And whereas it is the desire of the town of Clayton to honor and remember Skip Browder for his dedication, vision, volunteerism, and the indelible footprint he left on Clayton. Now therefore be it resolved, the Clayton Town Council proudly and officially names the Steel Bridge portion of the Mountains to Sea Trail. That is the resolution that we have before us this evening, which would, if we act on this, would be voted on at the December 21st, 2020 Town Council meeting. So at this time, I can entertain a motion to make a formal recommendation to the Town Council to approve this resolution.
Madam Chairman, having the honor to have served on the Board of Adjustment, the Planning Board, during the entirety of Skip's tour duty with the town of Clayton, it's an honor for me to recommend approval and of this to go to the town council.
Thank you. And a second from Board Member Lipscomb. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries. I didn't have the opportunity to know Mr. Browder, but in hearing from folks who knew him at the last meeting and then reading really what I think is a very beautiful and fitting resolution, I'm glad that we could be a part of this. Are there any other comments from the board on this matter? And I'm not sure exactly who all might be here to represent Mr. Browder today, but for those of you who are here, thank you for being here. And we look forward to seeing you again and getting this voted on formally at the December 21st Town Council meeting. The next item on the agenda is 5B, 2020-166-RZ, Wake Med rezoning. We will now hear from staff.
Good evening, Chair Merritt, members of the Planning Commission. Let me introduce myself for the record. My name is Jeff Keynes, Land Use Planner with the Town of Clayton, and I'm here to present the Wake Forest rezoning application, 2020-166-RZ. Tonight's request is to rezone the subject site from a B3 SUD to a B3 zoning. The SUD is a special use district, and it's a district that is applied to a number of properties throughout this area, and slowly, one by one, the special use districts are starting to be removed to allow more flexibility for the applicants to have more variety of types of activities on the property. Currently, it is an existing building. It's formerly a bank. Currently, it's a vacant building. It's relatively small in size, 0.122 acres, and it's right in front of Walmart at the corner of Northwest Town Center Boulevard and Financial Drive, and there's Business 70 just to the north of there. And here's a view of the property from Google Earth. So you can see that it was a bank, currently landscaped with the drive-through feature fully developed. The intent is to redevelop this into some sort of medical facility. I do have the applicant and applicant's representatives here to answer any questions that you may have about this site or any details about the activities that may take place. As you can see on the current zoning map, there is an overlay district of special use district. The proposed zoning simply just removes the special use district, the diagonal lines, and so it's fully red. And there's a couple of properties, as I mentioned before, that have the special use district removed from their property, but there's still a number of sites that still have the special use district with the overlay on top of them. So in the future, there may be other rezones in this general area. So this is the second one I've done in a year. I have heard from one other landowner that may come in the next couple months, so we'll see. Under review for the consistency and compatibility, we did take a look at the land use goals and the objectives. We do find, staff does find that this rezone does meet the comprehensive goals and objectives as shown up there on the slide. It is identified in the staff report. And as I mentioned before, the surrounding land uses have the same comprehensive plan designation, and it is also consistent with the current zoning and the proposed B3 zoning that the applicant's requesting. And with that, staff does recommend approval of the rezone. As stated before, we do have the applicant and representative here. If you have any questions for them, I'd be more than happy to answer any staff's questions. If not, I can hold it over for the applicant. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff?
Staff? Yes, sir. Not right here, but on the opposite side of the Walmart shopping center there, where Lone Star is and stuff like that down there. A couple years ago, one of the stores wanted to put something in that would have required a change in the zoning. Town council, in discussing that, said that the blanket zoning that they had put all along Business 70 a while ago seemed as though it was detrimental on that one that they were talking about. The guy had already lost one tenant because he had to wait 90 days for something to happen under the old zoning. And at that time, and like I said, that was at least a couple of years ago, if not a little more, they were talking about having that changed, at least in certain areas. And I would think like there in front of the Walmart. Has that been brought up or talked about, changing the blanket zoning there that is restrictive evidently?
Sure. Board Member Powers. To my understanding, there has been some sort of correspondence from the town council to remove the standard use district from all the properties if an applicant does come in. I have no knowledge, nor do I believe at this time there has been an action by the council, by staff, to just go through and do a blanket rezone of all of those properties. In speaking with individual property owners, because of what you mentioned of potential activities not being consistent with the overlay zone, we've encouraged all the applicants to come in to do a rezoning. It is faster to do a rezone than it is to go through the special use district process. Okay. And at the end of the day, that special use district is for that specific use. So the property owner has one use, and if that tenant leaves, they have to go through the entire process again. By doing the rezone, the owner of the property has multiple uses to pick from, if you will. In this case, the applicant's proposing a medical office building. But to have a blanket rezone of all of them, we're not into the process of doing them now, but we do have knowledge from council that, yes, this needs to be taken care of. So that's why the staff report was as fast as it was, because hopefully everyone else got the memo from the council as we did as staff.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff at this time? Okay, thank you. And then did the applicant want to present this evening, or were we just taking questions for the applicant?
Just questions.
Okay, great. It sounds like the applicant is here. Are there any questions for the applicant? Sure.
If the rezoning is approved and hopefully you're happy leaving stuff, what is the timeframe on on changing the building over?
And we can let you have time to approach the microphone.
I am Graham Smith, landscape architect, site planner with Site Collaborative. And we have Chris Hayers. Chris Hayers kind of from the ownership and operational side. The timeframe is as soon as possible. The idea is it would be used for medical office. And so Wake Med would like to, there are certain things they need to do. Obviously a lot of upfit and renovation interior, a couple minor site improvements. But I think as soon as possible, occupy the building. With that, maybe you can add to that.
Just to add to that, our intention would be to be operational sometime probably May. And get work done prior to that, because most of the work, as Graham mentioned, is internal.
Yeah, that's
And one of the reasons we want to take advantage of the bank construction is to take full advantage of the drive-through as part of testing and vaccinations.
sounds very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any public comments on this matter? Okay. Hearing none, I will turn it over to the board for their consideration. Comments from the board? I will say for myself, in reviewing the documents, I was happy to see that building get put back into use. It looks like it's in good shape, and that would be a great location for something like that. I was excited to see that. Anything else? If not,
We just need a simple motion to approve.
right?
Okay, I move that we approve rezoning application 2020-166-RZ for Wake Med.
Thank you. Motion to approve made by Board Member Lipscomb. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Powers. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is 5C, 2020-153-RZ, Southern Village Vet Clinic rezoning. And we'll now hear from staff. Welcome to the meeting for the first time.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Good evening, Chair, members of the Planning Board. My name is Ben Painter. I'm a planner with the town of Clayton. Just started, so thanks for having me tonight. I'm going to introduce to you Project 2020-153-RZ. We're calling it Southern Village Vet Clinic rezoning. It's a 1.3 acre tract that's being requested to be rezoned from industrial light uses to highway business, the B3 zoning. Currently, this property is vacant, and it's located between the existing Southern Village commercial area, which has a mixture of retail and office uses, and the Navtar industrial factory. So currently this is zoned light industrial, as you can see on the map, and they're asking, in the map below you can see the proposed zoning asking to be B3, which is the same zoning that is the zone that the Southern Village commercial area currently is. So it would be consistent with the zoning just adjacent to it. Here is the street view, and you can see that it's currently vacant to the right of the image, and then Southern Village commercial area to the left. little history, this was formerly zoned B3, and then it was rezoned to a light industrial use in 2019. And the applicant is requesting to go back to that B3 zoning to prepare the property for a specific use. B3 permits things like veterinary clinics, offices, daycares, fitness centers, retail, service, and restaurant. The current zoning is more permitted uses for warehouse, research and development, auto repair, manufacturing, vehicle sales and rental, and storage yards. We looked at the future land use designation and current land uses and found that this property rezone would be consistent and compatible with those two items. The future land map designates this area as an employment center, and the consistent land uses being already commercial and consistent with what the B3 zoning permits. In conclusion, the staff does recommend approval of this rezoning request. I believe the applicant is here tonight if you have any questions for them, and I'm also available for questions as well.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Looks like there are none. Did the applicant want to present or just here for questions or?
I'm glad to present it.
Sure, absolutely. Let's see, I think if you need to sanitize the stand or. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you all for your time here tonight. My name's Sean Rainey. I'm representing Blue Frog LLC, the company wishing to purchase the property in question. We plan to use the property for a 3,100 square foot vet clinic under the name of the Southern Village Veterinary Clinic for now. I'm also joined by Gary McCabe, a civil engineer with Redline Engineering, and Danielle Berry, also from Blue Frog. We're looking to rezone this property from the I-1 zoning back to B3 zoning so that veterinary services will be an allowed use. We also conducted a neighborhood meeting with the neighbors within 100 feet of the property on November 12th, virtually, and we submitted a summary of that meeting to the town staff to share with the board. Essentially, one local property owner, Jason Cox, joined us on the call, and he asked a few questions, which we answered. Just to give you a little background on Blue Frog, our specialty is the design and construction of veterinary clinics. We've been involved in hundreds of offices over the last 10 years all across the eastern seaboard, into Alabama and Tennessee, and we were even one of 3 architectural companies that worked with Banfield Group with all of their designs. We're considered an expert in the industry. One of our owners even speaks to the veterinary students at UGA and Auburn and Florida. Just for your information, the hours of this vet clinic for right now would be starting 8 to 5:30 p.m., 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then 8 to 12 p.m. on Wednesdays. And then as it gets busier and more traffic, they'd be open the same hours on Wednesday, and then 8 to 12 on Saturdays. Typically, for a vet clinic, there are scheduled drop-offs in the morning, they're seen during the day, and then they're picked up during the afternoon, so those are the busiest hours. And there'll be approximately 3 to 4 employees and vets together at this location to begin with, and that'll probably grow to maybe 8 max. There are a couple items that normally come up when we're talking to boards such as yourself about vet clinics, and that would be sounds and smells. So first I want to address sound. The way that we build our vet clinics, because we do so many, there's an abundance of sound insulation throughout the whole clinic. Every animal housing room, like a cat ward or dog ward, isolation, will have sound insulated walls, and we would cap all of those rooms at the top with either sound insulation or sheetrock. And essentially, we don't want clients to come into our clinics that we design and be up front and have it smell like it's a Humane Society building. You don't want to hear all the barking. You don't want to smell. You want to walk in and act like you're walking into a business office, and that's how we want our neighbors to see us as well.
We build vet clinics next to Starbucks, by restaurants, by beauty parlors, dentist offices, and many other business offices, even right below residential units, and we've never had any problems. Also, most of the animals housed in the clinic will be under sedation because they're actually being seen and worked on, so they're not up and around and barking anyways. And dogs typically only bark when they see something. So if they see somebody walking by or see other dogs, and the way that we design our rooms, they won't be visible to other animals or people. The people will be able to come by, text, and check on them, but without really being seen. We're also talking about an outside fenced area, and really that's for only 1 or 2 dogs at a time. They would be on a leash with a tech. We don't do outside runs where you just let a whole bunch of dogs run around outside and bark and yell, and so it's very controlled. And the fence is a 6-foot wood privacy fence as well, so it allows for the dogs also to not see outside to people or other animals, and allows people not to see inside because they're typically in the fence taking care of business. And regarding smells, mainly getting rid of that business, it's bagged individually, it's picked up automatically outside when they do, placed in a thick disposal bag, and then placed in the dumpster. Any droppings in the fenced area are picked up, and any urine is washed down immediately. So essentially, there's no smells coming from the area because there's none left. It's picked up right away. And generally speaking, the majority of the animals in the clinic are in cages, and the cages are wiped down and cleaned right away if something happens. So as you can see in the normal course of our process of design of the building and construction, we already have systems in place to take care of the sounds and smells that typically happen. So I appreciate your time tonight, and would respectfully request an approval of the rezoning. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions of the applicant? Mr. Powers?
Just like I did with the last applicant, do you have an idea? I know this is just the rezoning, and you'd have to get a site plan approved probably and like that. Do you have an idea of the timeframe for what you're thinking of to have something there?
To have it actually constructed?
Yeah, customers going in?
Yeah, we would, as I think we have our next meeting on the 4th, so I'm already scheduling the project schedule after that to start the actual full, sorry if you can't hear me, to start the actual full design of the detailed permit plans. And then once we're done with that, I think we talked about mid-March, something like that, we'll have it into permit. So depending on how long permit takes, construction itself is around 39 weeks. So I don't remember exactly where that puts us to, but.
Probably 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. One point, when you were listing off the veterinary schools that you've either worked with or spoken to or whatever, keep in mind that there's a veterinary school in North Carolina State that's real good. It's right next door. So.
If they invite him to come speak, he will.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, thanks. I will now turn it over to the board for their consideration. And what we are talking about here is a motion to either recommend or not recommend approval of the proposed rezoning to the town council.
Madam Chairwoman, I would like to recommend rezoning. I think it's a great use. I think it's a great location. You can't be any further away from residential. You've got plenty of land, so I just hope you plan well. I think you'll be way more successful than you think, because I think that we're lacking in this area. So I'm excited. I think you've got a great site there. So I would like to recommend to the town council the rezoning 2020-166-RZ. Excuse me, I'm on the wrong one. Sorry.
Okay.
So I was reading out the wrong number. I'm having computer difficulty here. So rezoning application.
You want me to give you the numbers?
So I'm going to just say for Blue Frog LLC, I do not see the rezoning application number. The information I have in front of me on that.
It was 2020-153-RZ. We got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve from Board Member Lipscomb. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Board Member Avery. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, our last item on the agenda for this evening is informal discussion and public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak at this time? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Board Member Coates, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Powers. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carried, meetings adjourned.